Hello, nice to meet you. I'm Thomas Gilbert.
Thomas, nice to meet you. I'm Hyder.
I'm Cole. Nice to meet you.
Cole, I'm Hyder.
Hi, I'm Lauren. Hi, I'm Tram. Nice to meet you. Hyder, nice to meet you. Hyder, I'm Tram.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
I am. You'll be the moderator.
I'm nice to meet you.
Tram. Hi. So I'm going to give you all a 5-minute and a 1-minute warning of assistance.
Good morning. My name is Thomas Gilbert. I'm joined by Tram Nguyen, Lauren Rasmussen, and Cole Harris, and together we are the Curious Creators. And we're going to talk about why MaxiNet should team up with a new discount diaper brand, Pura, to create a non-leaking path to expansion. So the situation is that we were responsible for finding a way for MaxiNet to enter a market strategy and their business model for entering the Venezuelan market. So our recommendation is to partner with Kimberly-Clark, the producer of Huggies, to create a new discounted diaper line. How we will do this is to gain funding from NGOs and donations from Kimberly-Clark to be able to subsidize the diapers and make them more affordable for the Venezuelans. When we will do this is starting in 2020, looking to gain majority market share by the end of the year, and then strategizing on how to expand to Latin America thereafter. And then why MaxiNet should be interested in doing this is because we can earn $12 million in sales, increase our global presence, and then create a sustainable impact on a struggling nation. So looking at Venezuela, not much is going well for them right now. They're in the midst of a political, economic, and social crisis due to a corrupt government, price ceilings and hyperinflation creating mass shortages, incredibly high poverty rates, declining GDP, and then also refusal of foreign aid. So they're in a situation in which they're stuck right now, and in forming our strategy, we need to be aware of these difficult barriers to entry this market. But let me assure you, MaxiNet is the right team for the job. The reason being is because our mission is to become the best distribution company in the world. The only way to do this is by taking on these tough markets like Venezuela. So how we will do it is through our brand representation, exclusively representing our partners in foreign markets, and then our high volume and low margin strategy. The reason why we have an advantage is because we're already experienced in Latin American markets with the other 12 consumer packaged goods that we represent internationally. And through our centralized regional management, we take on the responsibility away from the producer and fully represent them internationally. So our product is called Pura. It's a discounted diaper brand. By partnering with Kimberly-Clark, who produces Huggies, this will be a line extension of discounted diapers. The goal here is to make it an affordable product and, more importantly, accessible through our distribution platform, having it fill up market stores. Our pricing would be $10 per 80 counts, or that's about 100 bolivars per package, and we estimate about an 18% margin. Our features of this product is for it to be the most basic accessories so that it can still be a quality product, but cut costs on the production side, as well as cut costs for our consumers, and most importantly, it's biodegradable. We do not want to add to any environmental issues in Venezuela, and so this will help with that. Now, why should we team up with Kimberly-Clark, and why would they team up with us? They left the market in 2016, so they were already there and left because of lack of resources. But we believe we can get them back in by the motivation of competition. Kimberly-Clark had 41% market share in 2015 before they left, and we're beating out their competitor, P&G, who had 38%. And right now, Huggies, their main diaper, is kind of stuck in the middle between premium and discount diapers. Their competition is Loves, which is a discounted diaper created by P&G. It's really stealing market share all over from both Huggies and Pampers, which is a P&G product. So our value proposition to Kimberly-Clark is to recommend that they test out this new discounted diaper, test it out in Venezuela, and then look to expand it across Latin America. This way, they can really gain market share from P&G internationally. Now Lauren's going to talk about how we will implement this idea.
Great. So now that we have an understanding of our product and who we will be partnering it with, we're going to focus on how we will get financed, as well as how we will be distributing, and then we'll move on to the impact that this will make. So to start out with our partners in financing, we are hoping to be financed by Kimberly-Clark, as well as being financed with some nonprofits that otherwise wouldn't be able to enter into Venezuela. Next, we will be distributing the diapers once we get financing, and we will be distributing through both supermarkets and hospitals and clinics. Then, by distributing with both of these players, we will be able to impact a radical majority of the Venezuelan population, and with that, we will be able to impact the health of Venezuela overall, and are looking to alleviate the black markets in diaper. So, moving on to our funding sources, we want to talk about Kimberly-Clark being a major player because they have a huge stake in creating this new brand, Pura. This new brand will have market research that needs to be done, so why not do that by also gaining corporate social responsibility? This will be applicable because they can gain visibility in both Latin America as well as in the world if they choose to expand Pura in the future. Next, moving on to our shipping and promotional budget, we are looking at partnering with nonprofits such as UNICEF and with Pan American Development Foundation because both of these people have a huge stake in Venezuela. First, UNICEF is invested in every child. They want healthy children overall in the whole world, and Venezuela is really lacking with that, and an easy solution is to provide diapers so that a child can have at least 1 or 2 diapers per day. That seems like something that shouldn't be too hard to do, and it seems like a necessity. Next, Pan American Development Fund is already partnering with PepsiCo and Chevron, and we believe we could also partner with them to make an impact in Venezuela, which is kind of a sinking ship in South America that they have investment in. So once we get the funding to back our Pura diapers, we will be moving on to the distribution channels. Kimberly-Clark is a huge player in this as well because we already have relationships with some of the supermarkets such as Mercado Libre and Auto Mercado, and we hope to make also other relationships with other supermarkets when they see our product. And these supermarkets are gaining an advantage with this because they'll have stocked shelves full of diapers. And this is huge because they'll be getting all the customers who would have been previously going to black markets, and this is increasing the supermarket's revenue as well. Now, talking about hospitals and clinics, we decided this is an avenue we wanted to pursue because we are doing this for social responsibility. So we want to make sure every single person has the opportunity to get a diaper. So with every birth in a hospital or clinic in Venezuela, they will be receiving a package of Pura diapers to go home with, along with promotional materials that let them know Pura diapers are biodegradable and a low-cost option. So these hospitals will be getting a low-cost diaper, and we'll be using this as promotional. So we're seeing this as a MaxiNet expense and also an opportunity to radically impact these hospitals. So we know there are issues in legality, so we want to address this with you both. First, there are aid restrictions, which is keeping a lot of nonprofits and NGOs out of Venezuela, and that's why a for-profit company such as MaxiNet can come in and change the game. We will be developing a Goodwill donation station model, where Goodwill is actually a for-profit company accepting donations. So we will be accepting the donations from Kimberly-Clark, but also these nonprofits, so that they can funnel the money into Venezuela, whereas they also will be going around these aid restrictions that they wouldn't otherwise be able to do. And there are no accounts receivable allowed in Venezuela currently. This is due to an executive order passed by Trump in 2018, and we need to be really aware of that. So when partnering with these distributors and getting payment, we just need to be aware that we will not be able to take accounts receivable and need to be paid on spot. And going on to talk about profitability. With our profitability model currently, we will be making a positive profit from year 1 all the way through year 12, with year 12 being a profit of $1.2 million that year. We realize this is a low amount of profit for both MaxiNet and Kimberly-Clark, but this is specifically talking about Venezuela. And this is assuming that Kimberly-Clark will only cover a low amount of initial costs. So if we were to expand to Peru and Ecuador by year 5, we could radically change our profits and make them exponentially increase. Next, Tram will go ahead and talk about our positioning.
Thanks, Lauren. So in order to achieve that profitability, we want to have a really strong brand positioning and strong marketing strategy. So we came up with this 3-level value proposition model that will appeal to the consumers of Venezuela. So the first level of the model is we are offering a low cost and high quantity product. So they will not have to go into supermarkets, line up, or go to black markets and pay these insanely high prices. They can just go to a supermarket, grab a diaper from really high supply of diapers, and pay a low price. And the second level of this model is that we are buying from a trusted brand. So Kimberly-Clark, like Thomas mentioned, had a 41% market share before, and they already had existing relationships with the distributors in the area. And then the last and highest level of this model is that we're offering a sustainable products, and by being biodegradable is environmentally sustainable, and then by offering a low cost and high quality product, it's achieving economic sustainability. So when we're building this model, we really care about what customer really think when they're actually buying the product. So on the left side here, so she has a stable job and stable income, so she wants a safe product from a trusted brand. But she also cares about the environmental issue and cares about the crisis of her own country. So Pure happens to answer all of the concerns. But on the other hand, Patricia works as a nanny, so she doesn't even earn as much money as Andrea does. But she also wants to provide enough diapers for her baby. So when she goes to the hospital and delivers the baby, the hospital will give to her a package of Pure products. And the first pair of diapers that you get from the hospital when you deliver a baby, that will be like a brand loyalty for life. And then she will continue to buy the product because she can now find it easily at the supermarket at a low price. Moving on to marketing, as we enter the market, we want immediate acceptance from the market, which will appeal by low cost and high quantity strategy. So we'll just try to gain as much market share as possible in the first few years. And then after getting immediate acceptance from the community, we want to achieve long-term brand stability. So sustainability is a really growing trend in the market right now, and we'll really market highly on that. We'll just do heavy promotioning on how this product is going to eliminate the disposal plan for disposable and even traditional cloth products. And so moving on to pricing strategy, as Lauren said, accounts receivable are not accepted anymore in Venezuela, so we'll require distributors to pay us directly in either US dollars or in bolivars that Maxianet will exchange directly into US dollars. And by allowing these distributors to have the freedom to price their own product or even choose to barter with the consumers based on their own need and strategy, will help eliminate the black market. And then lastly, by kind of appealing to the open market, Lauren talked about policy where President Maduro just last month raised the price ceiling, so now they allow businesses to charge higher prices. So we'll try to enter the market as soon as possible so that we can take advantage of this new policy. Another policy that President passed this year allowed Venezuelan banks to exchange US dollars up to 500 US dollars. So that would allow easier market transactions. And next call, we'll talk about next steps.
In year one, we want to focus on relief. We know that when Eric Gomez was spearheading this project, he wanted to focus on helping the humanitarian crisis that is happening in Venezuela. We believe that we can do this by having low prices with their heavy promotion, as well as getting the supply out to as many people as possible so they can have access to the diapers. From year 2 through year 5, we want to focus on profitability, knowing that Maxianet does not want to have this project operate at a loss. In order to have, while having profitability, we will ease back on the donations that we are receiving. And we'll be profitable by having, by constantly going out and trying to get as many sales as possible so more people can have the diapers. And going forward from year 5 through year 10, we want to focus on development, knowing that the investment that those donors gave to us will be put into good use. The first way we'll develop is through the diapers. They're an educational opportunity, a way to learn how to be potty trained. And we also want to have a subscription model where people could pay for all the diapers up front for the year. And this could help counteract the hyperinflation or price swings that could come into effect because they'd already be paying at the beginning of the year to try to cut back on some of that risk. Again, now we want to talk about some of those risks that there are in the market. The first would be entering this new industry is a risk for Maxianet. In the past, we've only worked with food and beverage companies. However, due to the fact that Max Inter-America has had a ton of great growth in Latin America, achieving over 50% market share, we believe that this can be successful for us, as well as the fact that we're already trying to diversify in different streams, as well as the cannabis initiative that Maxianet is trying to go down right now. Another possible risk is price ceilings that President Maduro could put into effect. However, with the subscription model, as well as some flexible pricing, we could mitigate some of that risk. Another risk is black markets, that they're expected to grow. However, we believe that Venezuelans want to buy products legally, and that's where they can do that is through us. The final risk that we see is how difficult it is to do business in Venezuela, ranking 188th in the world. However, this could almost be a competitive advantage for us as we could get in there when they could not. To move on, we're going to talk about some next steps. The first would include Latin America expansion, where we'd expand to Peru and Ecuador because they have only 30% of penetration in the market. We also want to consider some feminine hygiene products where we could sell the Kotex pads and tampons that that Kimberly-Clark already has. And finally, we want to think about just how we can partner with Kimberly-Clark to continue to penetrate the market, have more brand loyalty for their products. Possibly even think about bundling opportunities. While we would not recommend bundling Maxi Next cannabis with baby diapers, we could recommend partnering the feminine products that Kimberly-Clark has to be successful. And finally, we just want to touch on how this could be a sustainable competitive advantage going forward. In order to be sustainable, it must be valuable, which we found in that we've had 18% profit margins. It must be rare. There is a shortage in the diaper industry. It must be inimitable, not easily copied, and we can do that because of the high barrier to entry as well as the amount of resources that we have. And finally, it must be unused, and we can do that because of just our great relationship with distributors. We hope you enjoyed this presentation and are so excited about our insights that you may need to even change your own diaper. Thank you. We'll open up the floor for any questions or feedback you may have.
So you'll have 8 minutes and I'll give you 1 minute warning.
Thank you so much for your presentation. So one question I had, which I think came on later, but in my opinion should have come earlier, is you mentioned that one strategy is to give diapers at the hospital.
Yes.
How do you see yourself doing the educational piece? And when and where would you do that?
Yes, so when we go to the hospitals, we will be giving the hospitals pamphlets that talk about our product and also how to use diapers, because a lot of Venezuelans currently don't have access to diapers, so they need to be educated. And we'll be using a lot of pictures so that there's no language barrier, and it's easily transferable to the people, even people who might not have the ability to read, because we know that's also a factor. And so we decided to go to these hospitals because you're getting a large population in, and we'll be able to subsidize these diapers on our end because we'll be taking it as an expense and using it as kind of a marketing or promotional budget for us. That way they can see, okay, these are biodegradable, but we also know how they work, and they're going to be a low-cost option. So going forward, they'll be able to buy them in supermarkets.
How do you get me before I get to the hospital?
It's a great question. Well, people are going to the supermarkets for their food and groceries, and hopefully as price ceilings have been lifted in Venezuela, that increases even more because cereals, rices, flours, baking products are being sold in more frequency in Venezuela as of this past month. So hopefully they'll see our products because other diaper companies are no longer in the market. So they'll see us and our brand will stand out.
And just to build off that, we also have considered even empowering the local corner stores where they can have bartering as a way to possibly mitigate some of that hyperinflation. Well, they'll pay for it right away. And believe that just through that, there'll be continued word of mouth marketing, which could spread in Venezuela as a big source of that awareness for the brand.
Thank you for your presentation. Couple questions on the pricing and financial side of things. I think you said it was 18% margin and $10, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel like the consumer, what percentage of the population do you think can afford a $10 pack of diapers, given that 80-some% are in poverty?
Yeah, so with our assumption, we assume that 20% would be able to afford it, given that fact and what the average income would be. So in our financial model, we took that into account, assuming that only 20% of the population would be able to afford diapers.
Great, thank you for that. The other question I have is 18% is actually pretty high for bottom line in this industry. I mean, it's not high, but it's relatively high. How do you think the Kimberly-Clark or your third-party nonprofits are going to feel donating money and reducing Kimberly-Clark's margin or whatever, and you're making 18% and using basically their existing previous distributors? Why not just do it themselves then?
I think for one, we saw Kimberly-Clark left Venezuela in 2016. So MaxiNet's differentiating advantage is that we have just a great distribution channel, and they specialize in exporting. So Kimberly-Clark left because they did not have the direct materials to produce it there, but our skill is in exporting. And so Kimberly-Clark can focus on producing in the United States or other manufacturing facilities outside of Venezuela, and our job is to help export it. What's in it for them, their value proposition is that this is a launching pad. right? So of course Venezuela is not going to be super profitable. You're not going to get your big money sales, but the hope is, you know, you test out new products or you enter the market from Venezuela, and that opens the door to so many other Latin American markets. So yes, you would communicate to Kimberly Clark, you're not going to make that much money. It's going to be more of, honestly, a corporate social responsibility project more than a for-profit project. But the hope then there is to gain brand awareness and loyalty if Venezuela does come out of this crisis, and also expand into, you know, more profitable markets like Brazil and Chile and Argentina.
Just one other quick thing, sorry, is you're gonna buy it from Kimberly Clark and Construction, correct? Okay. Just be careful, because with price ceilings, or so you talked about some subscription things, if the currency goes crazy and there's a subscription fee and you've said you can buy it for $10,
Yeah.
all of a sudden you're gonna be left holding the bag, so just be careful on that one.
That's a good point.
So I was gonna say something also along the lines of that, which is a subscription model paying upfront in a country where health metrics are not always great. How do you compensate or give people back their money should there be an immigrant mortality? And how, of all the other expenses it takes to sustain a child,
Yeah.
do I have the disposable income to pay it upfront?
Yes.
Whereas I need anything off tomorrow.
So we were hoping with the subscription model, they would be paying per month. So as sad as it would be to lose a child, they wouldn't be paying for the future months of diapers. And hopefully with the increase in health and well-being with these relationships that they're developing with the hospitals in Venezuela, they will have access to grief counseling if they needed it, or a friend to talk to, because communal relationships are really high. So that would be an added bonus. But I totally understand your concern, and that's a valid concern that we need to address as well.
And also, just to build off that, we see the subscription model as more the launching pad in other countries in Latin America. We would maybe test it in Venezuela, but more could be used in countries that have higher income. And as a niche market for some of those 20% who could afford it, rather than at the hospital clinic per se, so.
Are we still good on time?
You have 1 minute, 30 seconds.
So this accounts receivable thing is also interesting, right?
Yeah.
So it's gotta be cash. Do you have a sense, because we talked about your objective is awesome around getting massive distribution availability, all of that, right? That's what you wanna do. How would you go about doing that if a lot of the retailers, mom and pops or others, don't have the cash up front to pay for it? Are you really gonna be able to achieve that level of broad distribution?
That's a great question. So with this new initiative put on by the president, you're able to take out $500 from the banks in Venezuela, and you would trade in your bolivars for US dollars. So we could take it that way. But if they're used to bartering, we learned that bartering wasn't a huge success previously. So we're assuming they have cash on hand currently, and there's not a lot of digital payments going on because that's restricted in the country as well. So we went under the assumption that they did have cash. If not, we'd have to reevaluate our plan.
Right.
My last thing is more a comment. So the question I had asked about when you would reach people. So I love the idea of bundling because women are women before they're mothers. So that's a good thing. Because what I was getting at is you have 9 months of prenatal care. I have a brand loyalty that starts earlier than when I'm delivering.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
And so teaching the prenatal processes so that you're getting education on how to swaddle and feed and burp and da-da-da, but diapers are not part of that. So you say
great.
GYN before you say no obstetrician.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's very nice.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you for nodding so much.
Thank you so much, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Nice meeting you, good questions.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's like they get on and do it like, ah.
Good afternoon.